Hey, welcome back. Alrighty. Yeah, so at the end of her de-stress from stress talk, Heather had singing and dancing featured quite heavily. Music in general, Mac the Knife, her friend doing that great dance. And I want to talk about the sort of larger point from that. And then I'm going to come back into music. Okay, so we'll bounce around, but yeah, let's go. Music and the news. And the news. Here's the bigger point, using the environment to escape anxiety. Okay, so let's walk through this. Here you are. I know you don't look exactly like that, but that's sort of what you look like looking up. And let's imagine you're watching something. Let's imagine you're just, first of all, just say you're going through life. And as we go through life, of course, we have thoughts going on in our mind, right? It's like the stream of consciousness, as William James called it, never stops. We keep having these thoughts. But these thoughts are not just happening independently. They are affected by, well, primarily the environment. And so if we choose to say, watch the news, and, at this point in time, the news where I am right now is very depressing. We are in April in the COVID pandemic in 2021, and we're seeing things like this in the so-called third wave, where we're seeing case counts kind of go out the roof, and there's a lot of worry. So when you see that, when you're watching this and you're thinking those thoughts, the environment is you're basically staring at the bear, right? If COVID was a bear, you're staring at the bear and you're thinking about how dangerous it is, how mysterious is it, when will it ever end? And so all of these thoughts start coming into your head. But of course, they didn't just pop into your head. The news put them in your head. And well, how did the news do that? Well, you chose to sit in front of the news in some way. Now, maybe you didn't choose, maybe a family member chose, but for whatever reason, you put your body in front of that stimulus, and that stimulus did its thing and made you anxious. That's how things work. But the good news is we can use that, right? We can say, okay, if I watch the news, I get anxious. I get these anxious thoughts in my head. Well, what if I watch music? Watch a live concert. I just happened to watch the Brian Setzer, Stray Cat Struts doing their thing. Stray Cat Strut, Stray Cats. They do the song Stray Cat Strut. And they're full of energy and excitement and playing guitar like crazy. And when you watch that, you're seeing a happy crowd having a great time, a band having a great time, delivering a whole lot of energy. And well, that does something else to your mind, right? It makes you feel more happy, more energetic, more positive. And so what is the critical point here? Well, the critical point is we can control our television. And what I'm telling you is by controlling your television, you can control your mind. Okay? And not just your television, but your life in general. The things that you choose to expose yourself to will show up in your thoughts. Now, some of the things we get exposed to, we don't choose, right? Some things just happen to us. And again, they change our thoughts. But some of the things that happen to us, we choose to engage in. And I'm going to suggest to you that if you want to manage anxiety, you have to take a bigger role in that. You have to choose more. You have to say, I am going to schedule certain events. I am going to consciously decide to watch some music or do some dancing. You'll see some of my other suggestions that I make, because doing so will put my mind into a better state. Okay, and I'm going to unpack that a little bit more, but let me just hit over the head this, because we're going to come back to this over and over in the course with a lot of the different strategies. In fact, I'm going to suggest that the strategies will fall mostly into two camps, and this is one of the camps. So let's just deal with this camp first. If you want to manage your mind, if you want to manage your anxious thoughts, one way, and perhaps the easiest and quickest way to do that, is to manage the environmental triggers that bring certain thoughts or feelings into your mind. By choosing what you expose yourself to, you can affect the contents of your mind. So let's dig in a little bit more as a case study and following from Heather's notion. So she really highlighted the power of music, and music is extremely powerful. So just to talk about music for a moment, and we'll kind of think about it, specific songs are most present in our lives during certain time periods in our life. That seems a little redundant. But anyway, then the songs mostly disappear, right? So there's songs that play for months or maybe even a year if it's a very popular song, and a bunch of things happen to us during that time. And then they go away. And, sure, they pop up now and then. We hear them now and then. But as far as regularly hearing them, they're only regularly being played for a certain interval of time. Some of these songs during those times become strongly bound to important things in our lives, events, vacations, parties, road trips, relationships. That's our song, that kind of thing. These songs get really powerfully connected. So that in the first case, we can talk about songs just becoming connected to a time in our life. And in this case, we can talk about songs being very particularly connected to events in our lives. I'll give you an example of this, by the way. My wife and I went to Mexico at one point, and we went on one of these zip line tours and a cenote tour. And the way that worked is in the tour bus, they drove us there. And as we were pulling into the area where these tours were, they played Guns N' Roses' Welcome to the Jungle. Welcome to the jungle. That song now, every time I hear it, I'm back in that bus. I'm going into the zipline experience, which was a really great day. Except I lost a ring in a cenote. If you see it in Mexico, it's fine. But anyway, other than that, it was a really good day. And it's become so strongly connected that song brings that to mind. So this is the actual sort of point. Imagine you're living in a COVID period. You've just had a hard time for a while, or you have whatever other stressful event is going on in your life. If you hear a song from before all the stress happened, that song can trigger the memories and emotions that it has associated with it. And if these are from a good time in your life, if these are from a positive time, they will put your mind into a positive state. I will have those memories of Mexico in my mind of going into that experience. You might have different memories depending on the specific song that happened. But the important point is they're transporting you in time and space to a better time and a happier place. That's what music can do. There's more than that too, but cognitively, that's what it can do. That's how it can change the channel on your mind. And so one very easy thing to do if you're really feeling down is to go create a playlist or find a playlist of, you can do things now like 80s songs. If that's when you were young, that age when we're like 12 to 20, music is very important in our lives then. And if we play songs that were popular for us then, we're going to be transported back to that time. And it's going to make us feel good. So, use music in that way, and maybe even give a playlist to somebody else if you want them to feel happy. Now, I've been talking at a personal level. Institutionally, you might use, if you have like a respite center in your institution or some place for people to kind of relax, that maybe there's a room. Maybe you could have a room that's relatively soundproof where they could go and listen to music or even do some of the other things I'll tell you about in a moment. As a way to just kind of get away from the stress of the hospital for a while. A nice comfortable chair or a place where they can watch some live music and have some choices available to them, or just music, generally upbeat, positive music playing in the respite center. That can do a lot for helping people just kind of get their mind out of where they are. There's something special about music beyond that too. And it's not just music, but let me start with music. When we listen to music, when we get into this positive mindset, it actually changes what happens in our body. When we're stressed, cortisol is the main hormone playing its role. And it's really exposure to cortisol in a chronic way that's leading to all the negative effects of stress. And so when we calm down, levels of cortisol drop. And in fact, endorphins and oxytocin and serotonin increase. Just to be clear, you guys know oxytocin. Well, oxytocin is more of a trust kind of. So like, for example, if you were singing with somebody else and having fun, after that experience, you'll feel a little more connected to that person. You'll like them a little bit more. It's the trust drug, some people call it, or the love drug, etc. Endorphins make you feel really good. More important than all of that, they counteract the negative effects of cortisol. So it's not a stretch to say that things that put you into that happy state, that music is key to kind of think about, they are medicine. They are counteracting the negative effects of cortisol. And so you should think of them that way. And you should consider, again, mindfully having time every day when you just engage in music or, well, there's a couple of other activities, and let me highlight them, and we'll talk about them personally and institutionally. Singing is fantastic. Okay, and so what I'm imagining here is maybe your family has, Wednesday night mental health night, when you all do karaoke. Every one of our smart TVs these days, if you go into the menus, you will find karaoke. It will play a song and show you the words, and you can sing along. And so you can do karaoke with your family. And what's really fun is get the old people to do the current songs and get the kids to do the classic rock. Have fun trying to sing each other's music and laughing at each other as you do so. Singing is very powerful in terms of releasing those endorphins. When you get into it and have fun, it's super, super powerful. So that's one of the other, often music promotes singing automatically. We start singing along, right? So that's what gives it some extra mojo too. Dancing is also very powerful. So, maybe in some mental health nights we're going to learn how to, I have country line dancing here because it's kind of fun. But, it could be Zumba, it could be whatever. But spending some time moving your body in a sort of dance-like way to music is very powerful as well. Now, institutionally, again, at a respite center, you could have these options. You could have certain times when the staff can come and do some karaoke or do some, silly country line dancing. And that is a way to really help them escape the stresses that they're feeling. So I just wanted to highlight that again, and I want to do it in two ways again that I want to stress. One is just the general idea of using the environment to put somebody in a better mind state or to put yourself in a better mind state. It's not that complicated. Expose yourself to the things that produce happy feelings in your mind. And I also wanted to highlight, music and dancing and singing are especially powerful in that regard. So, to the extent you can, these are great things to include. Anything that makes you sing, dance, or bop along to music is great. And use that, schedule that. Okay, cool. See you next one.